Hey there, in this video I'm going to tell you how to get a physique like Cristiano Ronaldo in as short amount of time as you can. So, for those of you watching for the first time, I like to keep this channel a lot about bodybuilding and a lot about dieting, particularly with the low-carb keto dieting. But I also have a passion for soccer, and one of the things I realized is that a lot of the best athletes are in the best shape. And the reason why I think a lot of athletes should pick up bodybuilding is because of the benefits that you can see on their performance, and Cristiano Ronaldo is a great example of that. So, the whole point of this video is I'm going to give you, at the end of the video, a sort of recommendation, a bunch of my personal suggestions on how you can achieve this physique and performance benefits that go along in hand with it. But at the same time, also tell you just the general insights of what would get you a physique like Cristiano Ronaldo. So for those of you who aren't here just to pick up a plan and, get the Ronaldo physique, you're still going to leave here with some insights on how to better achieve your body goals and bulking and cutting goals. So, and also learn about some performance benefits that you could pick up from a high-level athlete like Ronaldo. So, as far as Cristiano Ronaldo is concerned, he does do strength training with weights, and he's one of the few athletes that actually does that and has talked about it plenty of times. The difference between regular strength training and bodybuilding training is going to be typically the weights used in the rep ranges. So with bodybuilding training, you're typically hitting still strong weights, but a lot of times you're hitting the 8 to 12 rep range. So that means that you're hitting weights that you can hit between 8 to 12 reps, and generally you're going to be doing some more volume, right? Standard strength training is using weights that are heavier, only going for a couple reps per set. Not a lot of athletes do that are in popular sports. They more so do lighter weight, but they're not pushing for a pump or time under tension. They're more so just using moderate weights, and typically they don't have a lot of guidance. From what I know about Ronaldo's training, he's definitely used strength training in a variety of ways and definitely pushed for those max strength increases many times. And that's going to follow my recommendation for when I explain to you my suggestion on how you can build this physique, because you're going to need to push for strength and you're also going to need to incorporate a decent amount of volume work. But I'll tell you the key components of Ronaldo's physique that you're going to want to pick up for yourself. So you can do this in a 3-day split. You can do this in as many days as you want, as long as you're hitting the key components here. So your main exercises are going to be predominantly push, pull, and legs. So you can structure the day however you want, or the week however you like, but push, pull, legs is the bare minimum. So basically, with a push, pull, leg split, what you're going to want to do is, Ronaldo's lats are a very big part of his physique. So he's very wide. He's not the biggest athlete, but he's definitely dense in muscle and very low body fat. So that's why I'm going to explain my bulking and cutting recommendations for this approach. But as far as the actual bodybuilding element, building the lats is going to be key, because Ronaldo has very wide lats, okay? He builds up a lot, and that allows him to pump his arms a lot and be a very fast sprinter. It's actually a big component of running, because the speed you can move your arms is going to be typically what your arms do is going to follow your legs when you're sprinting. So for Ronaldo, you're going to, on those back days, so those pull days, you're going to want to be doing a lot of upper body movements. So you're going to want to be doing a lot of like lat pull downs, a lot of what I personally like, weighted pull-ups and weighted chin-ups. So you're going to have to build up to those. But the key component here is a lot of upper body back movements. So you can still do your rows, you can still do a lot of lower back stabilization exercises. However, your back day is going to want to incorporate those weighted pull-ups. You could use a belt at the gym. You can start off small, just increase your strength on those weighted pull-ups every week, and even just start learning the pull-ups, because a lot of people who are coming to this video might be soccer players, and I know from experience as a soccer player that a lot of them don't have a lot of muscle, and even body weight exercises like pull-ups are challenging. So even if you can only do 5 pull-ups, throw some weight on a belt and do 2, right? And then from there, the next week, do 3 or 4 with an increased weight. And then over time, you'll find that you're naturally going to be able to do 10 pull-ups on your own body weight, opposed to 5 that you were before. So keep increasing that upper back size. That's going to allow you to pump your arms as much as possible, and that's going to overall increase your sprint speed and also your physical presence on the field or whatever sport you're doing. So that's a key component, whether you're playing soccer or not, or any other sport, or whether you just want to get a physique like Ronaldo. The lats are a big key. Of course, there's abdominal development and chest development, but the chest development is going to be very standard for your push days. However, you're going to want to keep a lot of focus on the incline bench because Ronaldo's chest is very plate-like. Okay, it's very rectangular, and he's built the upper chest a lot. I mean, obviously, it's not like he's massive, so it's not like he's like Mr. Olympia walking around here with a huge chest, but his chest is pretty well developed overall. And I think in combination with that lat work, if you're working on a lot of upper chest focus, that's going to go hand in hand with your shoulder mobility, because bench press is a very shoulder dominant exercise and it really builds up the shoulders. And even though shoulder exercises are going to be useful as well for your ability to pump your arms on the way up, right? That incline bench movement, whether with dumbbells or barbell, is going to be, I think, the most key on your push days. So that's my general recommendation for the push day and the pull day, right? You can also throw in some weighted dips and be liberal with your flat bench usage. You don't really need any decline bench for this particular program. All you need to do is focus on the lat development, so the upper back movements, and at the same time, that's going to form your biceps and form all the other isolation muscle groups that you shouldn't be working on your own this plan. So you should be focusing on the compound lifts here. So those incline benches, the weighted dips, the weighted pull-ups, and lat pull-downs. And the pull-ups on their own. You're going to be focusing on those exercises predominantly. And what that's going to do is it's going to also carry over to, of course, the physique and the appearance, because the frame is the most important part here. You have the wide lats and the built shoulders and chest, and the abs will follow, because the abs are A, made in the kitchen predominantly from the cutting phase, and B, when you're doing the leg volume training that Ronaldo does, which is predominantly front squats, I'd say, for the quad activation, the front quad activation, and maybe some leg press, because you're not going to be wanting to go too heavy on the squats. But then again, if you're a soccer player, chances are you're probably not in the gym regularly enough anyways to be squatting very heavy, just a stereotype. So you're going to want to keep the front squats the main focus. That's going to allow your quad activation to be very sharp. And so as far as the overall exercise recommendations, it's going to be building up the frame with the chest exercises, the upper chest. Again, the shoulders carry over from the bench pressing, but you can train them however you like. And the lat activation for pumping the arms and building the frame, also adding physical presence on the field. And the leg days are going to follow, typically, like I said, focus on front quad predominantly, maybe glute activation as well. So maybe you could do some, I'd say, traditional squatting, back squatting, but keep the focus mainly to the front squats, because that's going to build up your ability to move the fast twitch fibers in your legs. And that brings me to the next topic. When you are trying to train your fast twitch fibers as well, some people say the strength training with explosive movements is better for fast twitch fibers. At the same time, what you're going to want to do, regardless of what you tend to follow for what you think your fast twitch fibers or slow twitch fibers are like in your body, you're going to want to train all these exercises at a very moderate to intense weight level. So that means either what you can do. You're not going to want to do a weight anything that you can do more than 12 times. And you're not going to want to do a weight anything that you can do less than like 4 or 5 times. So keep your weights in between there, those parameters. And as far as it goes for the fast twitch and slow twitch fibers, on your way down of whatever exercise you're doing, so that's the eccentric part of the movement, you're going to want to go really slow. I can't stress this enough, and especially because a lot of people who are particularly soccer players, but even just athletes in general, when they're doing the bodybuilding side of things or training in the gym, they're just throwing up the weights and they're doing isolation movements. They're not focusing on the compounds. Isolations are for bodybuilders. They're for people who are sculpting. Compound movements are going to be the most key to your actual performance and strength benefits. and you need to go really slow on the way down of whatever exercise you're doing. This is what's actually going to build the most of your muscle, and it's actually going to allow your level of control and mind-muscle connection the most, because going slow and controlling that weight on the way down does so much more for your central nervous system than just throwing a weight up and down. And additionally, it's going to make you have a higher level, higher degree of control, and it will also help you improve every week faster because you're controlling the weight. It's better to do perfect form than, shooting for high weights that you're just flailing around. So that's another recommendation for that part. But as far as the actual sample guide for the training, you're going to want to stick to that focus of the push-pull legs that I recommended. You can add in whatever other days you want. You can throw in isolation days around those 3. However, it's like not entirely necessary for you to do that. The push-pull legs is the bare minimum to achieve this look. So that's going to fill out the bulk phase of what I'm recommending here. However, for the cutting phase, I'm a big advocate of the ketogenic diet. And speaking of cutting phase, this is probably where you're going to start seeing the abs come out. So like I said, the abs are made in the kitchen, right? You're going to want to build up the abs. However, the most important thing for this is your abs are actually going to get a lot more activation from you doing squats and deadlifts, which are, deadlifts are probably good for the glutes in this plan as well. Your abs are going to get far more stimulation from those exercises than doing sit-ups with no resistance. And you don't necessarily need to do ab exercises with resistance for an aesthetic purpose, but as far as training your body for performance, ab resistance and ab core stabilization is going to be so much more activated when you're doing deadlifts and squats than doing sit-ups on your own with your own body weight, especially if you're a lighter guy, because that's less weight that you have to throw up with your upper body. For the soccer players watching this, or other athletes who don't train in the gym, because majority of them don't, do not do, a lot of you probably do, like the planks, or which are good for burning out, but most of the plans are going to follow planks. They're not going to follow a bodybuilder approach. And the reason I'm recommending a bodybuilder approach is because it's the most effective. And by effective, I mean it's going to do the most for actually increasing your muscle size and increasing your performance, because it's going to increase your strength at the same time it increases your muscles. And increasing your muscle size is going to allow you to actually perform better, because your muscles are going to be able to hold more glycogen, which will allow is energy basically for your body. And the more your muscles can hold, the more endurance you have essentially. So for athletes in sports that need a lot more endurance, like soccer, basically if your legs are a couple inches bigger, you're going to hold a lot more energy in them and a lot more water retention as well, which is going to keep you hydrated and keep your muscles not cramping up. So that's very key, and other types of training don't allow that if they don't necessitate growth. Bodybuilding training does create growth, and other types don't necessarily create it. Additionally, the actual physique benefit of somebody like Ronaldo is a good comparison, because it's going to help visually and your confidence and self-image and whatnot with the bodybuilding side of things. However, when it comes to actually performance, you are going to get a lot of performance benefit out of this as well. Even details like that lat development, right, for that whole pumping of the arms. The added size from building out your frame like that is going to have, the larger a limb is, the more force you can project with it and the more weight it's going to carry as you push forward. So when you're moving that limb forward and it's larger, there's more weight behind it. So when your body is able to handle more weight and throwing it at the same speeds, it's going to create more speed overall. There's you could do the physics of it, because force is like mass times acceleration. But in theory, in general, because there's a whole triangle that I haven't done physics since high school, okay? But I know that's the theory, or how you calculate acceleration and speed. And when you have the same amount of force with more mass behind it, it's going to travel faster, especially when your body's able to handle that speed and that weight. So, additionally, onto the cutting phase. This is how I'm going to finish off with the cutting phase. When you take that last premise I just talked about with the more force, the same amount of force behind more weight is going to travel faster, and you take that same consideration and apply what it would look like after a cutting phase. So when you are leaner, not only if your limbs are bigger after this bulking phase, which could last from a couple months, basically what's going to happen is take two guys, one lean Ronaldo, one 15% body fat Ronaldo. The one who's leaner is going to be faster. Assuming they have the same amount of muscle and the same amount of strength, the one who is leaner carries less on their body as they're actually training and performing. So your actual performance is going to go up if you are leaner. So that's why I recommend a cutting phase after you follow that generalized bulking plan I put out, because not only will it allow you to look like the physique I'm claiming it will, but it will actually help your performance as well. So besides just getting the abs, which again, like I said, are going to come from predominantly your leg days and the kitchen, you're going to have the performance benefit of being leaner. So for the cutting phase, right, I'm going to end off because this is going to lead you to a lot of my other videos, right? The cutting phase I've always used is the ketogenic diet. And there's many ways to go about it. If you'd like to learn more, you can look at my other videos. However, I will say that as far as this training plan concerns you, this is, besides the fact that keto is a great way to lose weight, there's a bunch of other techniques you could use in the cutting, right? So you can cut however you like, but at the same time, you're going to want to do some sort of cardio. Everything that I'm going to recommend by the end of this video is going to tie in nicely. So when you're doing the cardio, for example, on the cutting phase, right? I recommend even you could do skipping as a good style, because the better you get at it, the more coordinated and the more strengthened your ankles and lower leg joints are going to be. So for whatever sport you play, whether it's hockey, soccer, basketball, your lower leg coordination and overall mobility is going to be way sharper. If you're a boxer or something, you probably will already skip, but you know the value of skipping and the coordination benefits it brings. So as far as cutting down, you're also going to want to incorporate a cardio strategy that is conducive to whatever sport you're playing, besides actually playing the sport. But that is my generalized recommendation of how to get the physique of Cristiano Ronaldo. So to sum up, you got a bulking phase and a cutting phase. On that bulking phase, you're going to have predominantly a push, pull, and leg split at least 3 times a week. You can throw in extras if you like. I'm assuming that you also know how to properly bulk. If you'd like to learn more, you can look at other videos of mine and whatnot. But on that bulking phase, push, pull, legs, focus on the push day, upper chest, incline bench press, and also weighted dips and flat bench to your liking. But predominantly building that frame. And on the back day, you're going to go predominantly upper back. You're going to build up the lats, which is also going to set aside your shoulders, and also increase your ability to pump your arms, increase your speed at whatever sport you're playing. Also, it's going to shape more that huge lat development Ronaldo has. There's a reason why he has it, and there's a reason why you can see it in his gameplay. And for the leg days, predominantly front quad focus, predominantly front squats, throw in a little bit of back squats, and deadlifts are going to be your primary exercises. And for all of those days, keep the eccentric part, so the slow bottom part of the movement, as slow as you can, controlled as you can, and explosive on the way up. That's another key part, because that's going to help your fast twitch fibers. So explosive on the way up, but controlled on the way down, okay? And for the cutting phase, you're basically going to follow a diet of your choosing. I recommend keto, and you're going to incorporate a cardio strategy of your choice. I recommend skipping, but you can also do any other kind as well. Skipping if you have performance goals. Anyways, that is my video on how to get a physique like Cristiano Ronaldo, and a suggestion guide as well. If you'd like this and want to learn more, or if you'd like me to talk about any other professional athletes, famous people, and diets and bodybuilding, let me know. My name is Anthony Romano. Peace.